and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black.
So now Trump courageously goes before a group of black journalists and talks to them, and they're savage. They just are insulting, and they treat him like garbage. And he just starts to say the kinds of things that Trump says. Here he's talking about Kamala. This is cut 11.
Sir, do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
Now, the base loves this because he's not playing by their rules, because he does not let them turn him into them. But of course, this is front page news. But first of all, it's true. I mean, here's Kamala on an Indian cooking show, cut 7.
What we're going to cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because you are Indian.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that. But I find that wherever I go and I see Indian people at the supermarket, on the street, everyone's like, you know, Kamala Harris is Indian, right? It's like the thing we're so excited about to have you running for president.
Yeah.
So we're both Indian.
Yes.
But actually, we're both South Indian.
Yes.
All right. And then she goes, a couple of days ago, she went to Atlanta, and suddenly she becomes black. There's cut 8.
And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Yes,
We're going to do it again, 2024. So he's absolutely right about her. It's complete nonsense. But the bigger question that we do not stop to ask ourselves is, who gives a rat's ass? Or as Andrew Breitbart used to brilliantly say, so what? He used to say two most powerful words in the English language, so what? Trump and Biden and Harris are all, let's say, less than perfect human beings. The only difference is that Trump's imperfections offend the left, who set the standards, the mad standards of our time, to drive us insane. And it's even worse than this, because this is kind of direct lying, but they do this thing that I've now come to call atmospherics, where they set an atmosphere of an intellectual air that we breathe that changes us into the perfect customers for them. So take debates. I talked about this back when the holy crap debate took place. Debates used to be Lincoln Douglas, Nixon Kennedy, two people discussing policy at length as they wanted to present their case to the people. And it also tested them on the floor live. It tested how they looked and how they presented themselves, but it was also about their ideas. Now you see it. They had 2 minutes to speak on the deepest possible and most complex possible policy ideas. They're moderated so that the news people now become attack dogs against the Republicans. We hear endlessly about any got you one-liners that some writer gave them to say. If they get off that one-liner and the audience likes it, then that's all we hear about for the rest. Because those are the things that the media can sell you. They know you will buy into those things, and they want to turn you into their audience, which is an audience of shallow people who can be led along by the latest sensational remark that somebody made, may be taken out of context. I saw this in Hollywood. I've talked about this before. I saw in Hollywood that there'll be a great original new film like The Matrix or Terminator, and they'll look at it and say, now we have to make a sequel because we made so much money. What did people like about this? Oh, The Matrix, they like the slow motion action. So the next film will just have so much slow motion action. You'll hear every bullet drop from the first. And they forget the fact that they had a really original idea that will never be duplicated, that actually was excellent the first time out. Same with Terminator. Everybody says Terminator 2, the special effects. That's all they gave you in Terminator 2. The first Terminator is an original movie in which every single line almost is quotable.
I'll be back.
So they cheapen it by giving you what they know the audience will show up for, the cheapest, lowest common denominator thing they know. So here's the situation. Joe Biden was an old-fashioned Democrat used to mask the far left of the current Democrat Party. Kamala is a leftist. She will be all in on the far left of the Democrat Party and could take the party further left with her. And this is what they're trying to hide. This is what they're telling us doesn't exist or has changed or somehow it's just Republicans pouncing. Here's an ad that was made by Dave McCormick, who's running for Senate in Pennsylvania, showing the true face of Kamala Harris, cut 15.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes.
What is the solution for voters in
the fossil fuel industry.
Giving the workers an ability to transition.
Abolish ICE.
And we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
It is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street.
People who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation. We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program.
For people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it.
Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on. I am opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public health, period.
So they want you to care about slips and goofs and faux pas, and especially with Trump, who just mouths off all the time and sometimes says things that are inappropriate, sometimes not, sometimes just the simple truth. They want you to care about that, so you don't care about the thing that matters, which is the policy. Because remember, the president is just one man. We have this huge government that is constantly churning, that is supposed to be guided by the president's policies and by his point of view. And Trump had to fight like a dog, like a tiger, to get any of it past this deep state that was there, the resistance, quote unquote resistance, with the press, which supports the power. The press is now on the side of power. It used to be on the side of the governed. Now it's on the side of the governors. The more governors, the better as far as they're concerned. So they want you to not care. And it kind of works because they entice us to fight back on their terms. I want to pause for just a minute and say where I think we really are, because there's a lot of, frenzy going on as they attempt to coronate Kamala Harris, as they attempt to push her over the finish line without us ever seeing her, just seeing what's in the press and what the press says about her. There's no great wave of affection for Kamala Harris. That's not happening. What is happening, I think, is that Democrats who are thinking of sitting out the election because Joe Biden was obviously the walking dead, they are now back in. And so that is why she has closed the gap with Donald Trump. But Donald Trump's ratings have not fallen at all. And that's important because the Democrat votes are all kind of situated in clusters in urban areas where his votes a lot of them seem to be in battleground states. And so that's very important. But this is what's happening. There's no great groundswell of, now suddenly we like Kamala Harris. No one has ever liked Kamala Harris. She's a very unlikable person. Now, on the other side of this, Trump blew the RNC speech. I think we all know this. We don't want to say it, but he blew it for a reason that was very Trumpian and is a flaw in his campaigning, I believe. The guy's an instinctive genius politically, I think, Donald Trump. He's an instinctive genius politically. And so when I say he's doing something wrong politically, I say it with great caution. But he had this beautiful speech about how he was shot and what it was like to be there that I think any human being could identify with. But he loves to be loved, and he knows the base loved him. And he then went off into this rambling base speech, a speech for his base. And the problem is, to win, you got to expand your base, and he doesn't do that. That's his Achilles heel, that what he did with the black journalists, the base loves it, but maybe that's not going to sell as well to what could be a growing black vote for Trump. And so he may alienate them if he doesn't have to toe the line to the left, but he might toe the line in terms of not being rude and just saying what he has to say. These are choices he's going to make, not me. I'm just saying the way it looks to me. That's his Achilles heel. Kamala's Achilles heel is that she's evil, stupid, corrupt, and a communist. And because we behold the news media and we go mad, and that means that it's going to be close because we are both working with our flaws instead of with our strengths. For more Klavan-y wonderfulness, like and subscribe, and do not forget to subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show wherever you get your podcasts.